Hey guys, what's up? It's Deepest Nature here, or if you want to come in Nature, and today we are back for another What If video. So this is a continuation of our previous What If, that being What If Cell had Kami Cells Part 2. So this is actually Part 3, and because it's Part 3, if you guys would like a recap of what's happened during the events of these What Ifs, be sure to watch Parts 1, 2, and the spin-off part. So before I start this video, I just want to say real quick that the reason that this video is taking so long to upload is because I have actually uploaded this video twice. First time was, to upload a finished product, and the second time I listened through it, and long story short, the audio was really bad because the mic was way too close to me. So yeah, it just didn't sound good. And like the second video I uploaded was I tried to adjust I tried to adjust the levels of volume, but yeah, that did not turn out right. So I've decided to scrap that whole video, not the video, but I've decided to scrap that whole audio and re-record it. So yeah, this is a second time. So yeah, unfortunately it's going to take longer. I apologize, but hopefully this will come out sounding and looking like a better video. And I'm still leaving half of the audio in because that half was fine, but I'm re-recording the first half of the video. So anyway, without further ado, we will be resuming straight from where we last left off, which was Goku trying to help Cabba achieve Super Saiyan. Cabba would then ask if Goku could teach him how to achieve the transformation on the spot, which Goku would be surprised about. He would sit for a while, trying to think of the best way to do this, and after a while, he would get an idea. Goku would jump back up and face Cabba with a stern face, almost reminiscent of Vegeta, and would insult Cabba. Though Cabba wouldn't really take any offense to this. Goku would laugh it off, saying he thought this wouldn't work, but had decided to give it a try anyway. After a bit more thinking, he comes up with a similar idea and decides to execute it. He remembered how, at the beginning, during their introductions, he mentioned Sadala. Assuming this was a planet which meant a lot to him, like Vegeta, he decides to insult it. This does start to get Cabba ticked off. Much like Goku did at End of Sea with Oob, he'd insult Cabba again and again, letting his rage build up. Eventually, his anger would hit a wall, and combined with the frustration of not being able to land a hit on Goku, he would ascend into the Super Saiyan transformation, screaming as he does. He screams that these insults were all false, and shouts that his planet spawned brave and fierce warriors, which he would now demonstrate with a barrage of attacks Goku would seemingly not be able to dodge. Goku attempts to jump back, but would be kicked back down by Cabba, who had teleported behind. He would then appear in front of Goku to deliver that weird double kick attack. The one he did in canon? Yeah, he does that, dealing double damage and sending Goku into the air. Goku would regain his composure mid-air to see a Gallic gun-like attack coming straight towards him. He barely has any time to dodge, but manages to use instant transmission just in time. Meanwhile, Cabba, who would have shot his attack, would wait for the attack to dissipate to locate his opponent. After it dissipates, he finds Goku is nowhere to be seen, and starts to worry about if he had taken him out. He would suddenly feel a tap on his shoulder, and, to his relief, it would be Goku. Goku would congratulate him on becoming a Super Saiyan and ask if he could do it again, which he would do with little difficulty. After they had talked a bit more, they would resume their fight, which, despite Cabba being stronger than Goku, his Master Super Saiyan form would allow them to fight equally, as he would be able to fight at full power for longer. This would be a lot more intense than their previous clashes, with far fiercer shockwaves being emitted from each attack that collided. Python and Brody would watch their fight in awe, as it had been either of their first times witnessing Goku fight at this level. Well, Brody had fought Goku many times before, but had never seen him actually fight an opponent other than himself before, so this would still be new to him. Eventually, Goku notices Cabba's moves starting to slow due to the strain Super Saiyan puts on his body. Due to this, he stops their fight, saying he would love for them to fight again sometime, though before that, he must reach the Super Saiyan level. Cabba would be about to question what this next Super Saiyan level was, but Goku would beat him to it, showcasing Super Saiyan 2 in all its glory. I don't know why I said it in all its glory. He just goes Super Saiyan 2. But yeah, he would then send a shockwave through the air, which would collide with Cabba and send him out of the ring. Goku would walk to Cabba and help him up. He would be amazed at the amazing power Goku had. Though the thought of it even attempting to reach such a crazy level of power was, honestly, a bit too much for him. He was a bit taken aback by it. Goku would notice the change in his expressions and would calm him down with a genuine smile and tell him that all he needs to do is keep training, because he knows that he can reach this level eventually. He would put his hand out and Cabba would grab it with a smile. Goku would help him up and they would both head to the bleachers. As Goku headed to his side, he would pass Hit, who simply paid no attention to him. Goku would smirk, excited to watch the upcoming fight, though he'd tell Pikkon to be careful as he seemed pretty dangerous. Pikkon would smirk, saying he was pretty dangerous too. Pikkon and Hit's match would begin. Though the victor of this match was clear, this would still be a very interesting fight nevertheless. Both Pikkon and Hit are very cautious people, so neither would move for a while. With Hit, he was obviously just waiting for an opening to use a time skip, whereas Pikkon was waiting to get a better look on his opponent. After a while, Pikkon decides to attempt to force Hit's hand by agitating him. He would ask Hit if the nerves were getting to him, but wouldn't receive any response. He would then follow it up, saying it would make sense for that to be the case, as he was the last remaining fighter for their universe. He would then see Hit slightly adjust his stance, almost as if he were about to make his move, but would stop. Noticing this, Pikkon would continue, warning Hit that the rest of their fighters were capable of transformations. So if he thought he had seen all of what they were capable of, suddenly he would get hit, then again, and again, he'd be getting the wombo combo from Hit. It seemed like it was from all angles, so he couldn't even predict where he was. It must have only lasted for about a second, but Pikkon felt like he had been hit by multiple attacks all at once. Majorly damaged, he realizes that he no longer has the pleasure of taking it slow, and throws off his weighted clothes right away. As these weigh 100 times those of what they previously did, they would create a small crater where they had landed. With the speed he had now gained, he would waste no time in initiating his new move, the Flaming Vortex attack. Check out my Spitter Forte following Pikkon's training for more info. He resorts to this instantly, as he believes the flames will prevent whatever attack Hit had just used. Was it speed? If so, the flames wouldn't allow for him to bypass them without taking damage. Perhaps a long range attack? If so, at the distance he was at, this attack would obscure his vision, preventing him from being able to land the attack. Once within his flaming tornado, Pikkon would proceed onto the finishing step of the attack and prepare to launch his Flaming Vortex, but wait, where did Hit go? Hit would have used his time skip to enter Pikkon's Flaming Blizzard, though he would have used up most of his time to do so, causing his time skip to end prematurely. Pikkon would look above to see Hit above him, about to land a hit. Without hesitation, Pikkon would counter with his Flaming Vortex attack, though Hit would just manage to time skip out of it and tag Pikkon, knocking him out. Though he wouldn't have entirely dodged the attack, and had actually ended up taking massive damage from it, causing him to even have to detach the lower part of his coat to prevent fire spread. Pikkon's Flame Vortex clears, and everyone sees Pikkon on the floor, with Hit standing over him. Though he had won, he acknowledges Pikkon's amazing ability, and admits that if he hadn't had progressed mid-attack, he wouldn't have been able to dodge. You know what that means? Hit has indeed managed to progress his time skip during this match. Not to the extent that he did during Goku's match, which was 1/5 of a second. Let's say he does it to 1/7 of a second instead, which would still be quite the increase. After the match had officially concluded, Goku would teleport to Pikkon and hand him a Senzu Bean. Once healed, Pikkon would thank Goku. Goku would ask Pikkon if he had any tips. He'd say he wouldn't, as he wasn't even able to deduce what type of attack he was using, though he would share some information that he had deduced from the fight. This is that whatever attack he used, it had to be some kind of technique or power-up, instead of just a never seen before attack, as he still had to get within close range to land the final blow on him. Goku would thank him for this before they split off, with Goku heading off to face Hit. They would face each other, and silence would cover the ring, with neither making a Alright, you know what? Nah, you guys have already heard me say this once in this what if. Let's just go. They stare each other down for a while, even after the bell commences, with neither wanting to make the first move, blah blah blah. Suddenly, Goku smirks, then goes into Super Saiyan 2, not wanting to waste any time here. Though Goku wants to mess around a bit, perhaps to see this possible speed technique Hit was using in person, he knew this would be a foolish decision to make, especially on the battlefield, where every bit of damage inflicted counts. Wanting to keep his opponent at a distance, he switches to long-range attacks. Using Ki Blasts, he aims for the surrounding area first, before gradually closing in. This creates a smoke screen, which he hopes he can use to see Hit go through to get to his position. After all, no matter how fast he is, there had to be a limit to how fast his vision could adjust, right? Goku would stop and back up a bit, hoping to see an opening within the smoke appear, but it wouldn't. In fact, it would be clear that Hit would... Wait, where the hell is he? Suddenly, he'd feel a sharp pain in his left rib. Clutching at it, he'd roll forward, managing to spot Hit behind him. With one hand, he manages this somersault, giving him space to shoot another Ki Blast at Hit. While still mid-air, he'd switch to the instant transmission. Though instead of teleporting, he'd be using it to sense Hit's ki constantly, waiting for the moment Hit would move to use his technique. Seemingly the moment before Goku's Ki Blast would connect, Hit would disappear from his sight, and within almost the same moment, Goku would feel Hit's attack connect. It would be a couple of attacks, ending with an uppercut. Goku would recover before he hits the ground, and stands facing Hit. He believed he now knew how to beat him. After connecting his fingers to his head, Goku would disappear from Hit's sight, causing the assassin to time skip out his reflex. He'd quickly look for Goku, and would find him above him, going for a sledgehammer attack. 0.02 of a second. Hit would attack him, and despite being a bit confused to see that his attacks had seemingly gone through Goku, would be about to resume time, though he would notice a large blue energy beam to his left. 0.04 of a second. He would just about move out of the way. 0.05 of a second. Only to see another Goku? This time behind the beam, with a hand with 2 fingers on his forehead. He'd rush there and make it just in time to attack. He'd connect with Goku's palm. Had he managed to block it? No. 0.07 of a second had passed, making his time skip run out. Yes, that had to be the reason. Though Goku's smirk would tell Hit otherwise. It didn't matter. Hit would make sure of it. He would settle it. This time, before Goku would make another move. He would time skip again, aiming for Goku's blind spot. Though this time, Goku would block. This would surprise Hit, giving Goku an opening which he would take, delivering a devastating kick at full power to Hit's stomach. He would follow this up with a few more shots, before Hit attempts to time skip to attack Goku at a different angle. Though he would come a lot closer, Goku just about manages to dodge Hit's attack, and counters with a stronger flurry of attacks. He ends it with a charged Ki Blast, aiming to send Hit flying out of the ring, though Hit again manages to time skip out of it. This time, under a significant amount of damage, Hit would ask Goku how he had managed to not only block, but also dodge his attacks, which Goku would answer by sending the shockwave punch straight at Hit. Ha! What, did you think Goku was just gonna stand there and refute his strategy? This ain't Super Goku, this is still Sosaka Goku, come on guys. So, Hit barely manages to dodge Goku's attack, and sees a number of Ki Blasts heading his way. Thinking that Goku had another plan, he attempts to progress yet again, but is forced to dodge the upcoming Ki Blasts. Upon dodging the last one, Goku appears in front of Hit, and they would clash. Much like in canon, Goku would repeatedly prevent Hit from time skipping by attacking him faster than he can anticipate. Though during these clashes, Hit would notice 2 things. One is that Goku seemed to be fighting at a lesser extent of what he were previously. The other was that Goku was causing Hit to go closer to the edge of the ring. Assuming this was due to him running out of stamina, Hit sees this as the perfect time to strike, and prepares his time skip ability, but would suddenly be grabbed and held in place from behind. It would be another Goku? Goku had used the multi-form technique. After witnessing Cell use it with little to no drawbacks, Goku had decided to work on the technique during his training. Although he couldn't find a way to perfect them like Cell did, he was able to manually assign ki to each clone, meaning he could have 2 clones and sacrifice one's ki levels so he can be carried over to the other. This is what he had done here, sending the weakest to attack Hit fast enough to prevent him from initiating his technique, then having the stronger one hold him in place. Hit would be confused, not understanding how there was 2 Gokus, when suddenly he had noticed a third in the far distance. He had released a massive Kamehameha onto them, forcing them all out of the ring. After detransforming, Goku would head over to Hit and offer a hand, accompanied by a friendly smile. Hit would look up to Goku, asking how he had figured out his time skip ability. Goku would laugh, saying though he was never quite sure exactly what it was, at first he had thought it was either a long range attack or just his pure speed, which was what his first attack was to test. It was to force him to move in order to get a clear shot. Had he done that, Goku would have known he was a long range fighter. After witnessing no trails or movement from the smoke, he then thought that perhaps it was a technique which, much like the Kaioken, augmented his speeds to crazy heights, though he did have some suspicions of it being some kind of teleportation technique. So, thinking that he was using his eyes too much and not focusing on ki, he switched to sensing his ki for any sudden movements, expecting to feel them charge at him, though due to him just appearing one place to another, that confirmed it to him that it was some sort of teleportation technique. Once he had figured that out, it was just about predicting where he would attack next. For that, his previous attacks and witnessing Paikon's fight came in handy, as he used those to analyze Hit's fighting style. Goku would apologize, as though he had wanted to see Hit's full potential, as the rules restricted killing, he had to ensure the win no matter what in order to get the wish. Hit would be amazed that Goku were able to do all that but still remain humble and apologetic. Naive, as he still wanted to fight him at his best though. Hit couldn't quite understand him, but found him amusing and would accept his hand to get up. Hit would vow to improve his fighting style, as well as his technique, to beat him next time they meet, which Goku would take on this challenge, and they would both go their separate ways. Zeno appears and wants to talk to the winner, that being Goku. After witnessing the God of Destruction's bow in fear of Zeno, Goku knew that this guy probably was somebody with some crazy power, or at least in a higher position than they were. He kinda wants to challenge this guy, but decides against it and, instead, chooses to err on the side of caution. He attempts to greet the guy, but ends up lifting him up. He'd be worried that he would get mad, but to his surprise, the little guy would enjoy it. So pretty much the same interactions would end up happening, just with Goku starting off a bit more cautious and not acting as goofy, so he would still befriend him and all. Zeno would let Goku continue on with his wish, which would be to resurrect every person and planet that were destroyed by Perfect Cell. After the wish was made, participants would head home to their respective universes. Goku bids farewell to Paikon, who, thanks to Whis, is revived, but decided to head back over to his quadrant. Though he says he will also grow stronger, and leaves with Whis and Beerus. Goku would teleport Bulma, Broly and Paragus to the location of the Cell Arena. Well, at least what was left of it. What would come next would be a massive heartfelt reunion. A lot wouldn't really understand what had happened, though they would all just be relieved not to be dead anymore. Much to Vegeta and Future Trunks' surprise, Bulma would rush to hug them while crying. Goku would hug Gohan, and you know what? Everyone hugs everyone, okay? It's a heartfelt reunion, so why not? Ironically, Gohan would say he's proud of Goku. He would say that he senses that Goku had gotten way stronger than before, and would then glance to Broly and Paragus, asking who they were. Goku would take this time to introduce Gohan to Broly and Paragus, with Broly responding in a friendly manner, but Paragus would have his attention on someone else. He would be staring at Vegeta, with many emotions whirling inside him. He would feel angered for what his father had done to him and Broly, but seeing Bulma and that young man with Vegeta showed him otherwise. He couldn't imagine the ruthless King Vegeta ever having a nice family like that. So for his son to have a family of good people, let alone accept this embrace in public, which is not something Saiyans would often do, it showed him that King Vegeta's son was different from his father. He then began to rethink his plan. Was it just vengeance this whole time? Had he really raised Broly only to enact his revenge upon Vegeta, who had possibly perished? Was it wrong to have prevented Broly from possibly having an enjoyable life with friends? Was it wrong to hold a Vegeta accountable for his father's actions? He didn't know. Broly would see his father was frustrated over something and would rush over to him, asking if something was wrong. Paragus would respond, saying it was nothing, though he had something he had to do, and would begin to walk to Vegeta. Vegeta would notice him and ask who he was. Paragus would say that he was just a Saiyan who was wronged by his father, though much like in main canon, Vegeta would say that whatever it was his father had done to him had nothing to do with him. Unlike in main canon, Paragus would respond, saying that's precisely why he's here. Slowly, he would put out his hand, saying he now understands that Vegeta can be different, despite being the offspring of that no-good, rotten, conniving, king. He was going to say king. But yeah, Vegeta understands and shakes his hand, signifying they're moving on from the past. After this, everything follows a similar order as in canon. Everyone would go home, with Broly and Paragus going back to Capsule Corp as, you know, that is where they reside. Soon, future Trunks would head back to his future, where he would take care of the threats there, and the Buu Saga time skip would occur. Alright, so once again, I was thinking of going way further with this story in this part, but not gonna lie, if I do, I doubt I'll be able to finish it off in time for an upload this week, so I'll have to cut it short here. Besides, this video, originally, it's just really long, but I'm gonna have to cut this into 2 parts, guys, it's gonna be mad. But yeah, next part, or I guess episode, next part. Next part, we'll go over the changes within the Buu Saga's time skip, the Buu Saga itself, and perhaps the next super arc? I don't know. But yeah, be sure to leave a like and comment down below if you enjoyed this, and above all, subscribe. And yeah, peace out, guys.